The Amalgam Universe is a reality that merged the various Marvel characters with DC characters and created new ones. It was published by Amalgam Comics, a collaborative imprint shared by Marvel and DC. These characters first appeared in a series of 12 titles in 1996 and then for another 12 titles in 1997. Marvel Comics has designated the Amalgam Universe as Earth 9602, and DC has recently identified this as Earth 1996. It is a parallel universe created and destroyed as a result of a cross-multiversal conflict between cosmic beings. It was a combination of Marvel's Earth 616 universe and DC's New Earth reality. Welcome to Vita Comics, and today let's get to know more how the Amalgam Universe was created and meet their wonderful amalgamated heroes. The Amalgam Universe started with the two great entities called the Brothers, who are the universal representations of Marvel and DC, and the embodiment of everything in their respective universes. Somehow, the brothers forgot that the other one existed, but they started noticing each other because of some cosmic events. Then, they decided to find out whose universe is better. So, they each pick their champions and have them fight each other until one of them goes down for the count, and when it's all over, only one universe is going to survive. This Marvel vs. DC crossover was the idea of Mark Gruenwald, executive editor of Marvel, and Mike Carlin, executive editor of DC Comics, who was also a former Marvel employee. The Amalgam Universe was originally designated as Earth 962 in Marvel Encyclopedia Fantastic Four, but a few years later, the official handbook of the Marvel Universe Alternate Universes in 2005 changed it to Earth 9602. Since they and many fans have always wondered on who would win between Hulk and Superman and many other heroes, sometime in 1995, they encouraged the fans to vote on who would win on the various one-on-one battles of Marvel and DC characters. And so, the fight went on according to the votes of the people, such as Thor defeating Captain Marvel, Aquaman defeating Namor, Flash defeating Quicksilver, Robin defeating Jubilee, Silver Surfer defeating Green Lantern, Elektra defeating Catwoman, Storm defeating Wonder Woman, despite Wonder Woman obtaining the power of Thor as she chose not to use Thor's powers against Storm, Superman defeating the Hulk, Nightwing vs. Gambit, Wolverine defeating Lobo, Batman defeating Captain America, Thanos vs. Darkseid, and so on. Somehow, after the battles, the brothers decided to fuse together so they can coexist as one unified being. However, because of the battles between the two parties, one of the universes faced being torn away and hurled into oblivion. So, the Cosmic Guardians, the Spectre from DC, and the Living Tribunal from Marvel held on to each other's universes and caused it to unite. By uniting the DC and Marvel universes, they have merged realities and created a single universe. Thus, the Amalgam Universe was born, with characters from Marvel and DC amalgamating with each other, and these amalgamated characters were also given different names and different origin stories. Now, let's check the backstories of some of the peculiar but still amazing Amalgam Universe characters. First is Princess Aurora of Themyscira, aka Amazon, an amalgamation of X-Men Storm and Wonder Woman. Ororo is a metamutant who almost drowned as a child after their family was attacked by Poseidon in retaliation for his father inadvertently stealing an ancient artifact from Poseidon. However, somehow, Queen Hippolyta felt her presence in the water and rescued her. Hippolyta raised young Ororo as an Amazon princess beside her own daughter, Princess Diana, on the island of Themyscira. Diana and Aurora would usually fight as children. As Aurora grew up, she displayed the ability to control the weather, and the Amazons taught her how to focus her powers into a lasso of lightning that would compel anyone bound by it to speak the truth. She eventually became the Wonder Woman and left her island home to enter man's world to use her abilities to help people. Much later, she faced Poseidon and made him realize that it was his father's goal to remind the people about Poseidon's existence and that his grudge against her family was meaningless. A remorseful Poseidon then released Aurora. Over the years, Amazon continued to fight for the good cause while keeping the metamutant status a secret. She ultimately joined the JLX and became their newest leader after Aquamariner left. She was also present at the final battle during the secret crisis of the Infinity Hour. This Wonder Woman possesses the power of storm and the fighting skills of an Amazon, but her greatest fear is drowning. Next is Clark Kent, aka the Super Soldier, an amalgamation of Superman and Captain America. During World War II, government scientists have manufactured a super soldier formula to convert any normal person into a fighting machine, an experiment with cellular biosamples from an alien corpse that landed in 1938. Together with solar radiation, they administered this formula to a young man named Clark Kent, who volunteered for their super soldier program. The results gave Clark incredible powers and abilities, including heat vision, super strength, and flight. Reporter Jimmy Olsen became the official press flag for the super soldier. However, this super soldier's weakness is called the Green K or Kansas Load, a meteorite that landed near the alien rocket ship. His shield is made of vibranium steel alloy. Super Soldier then became an affiliate of the All-Star Winner Squadron, also known as the All-Star Winner Society. Clark Kent was somewhat attracted to Lois Lane and became disheartened when she married Lex Luthor, a cold-hearted billionaire. Aided by Sergeant Rock and his Howling Commandos, Jimmy Olsen, Super Soldier, and Agent Peggy fought Major Zemo, a member of Hydra, a Nazi organization who was covertly working for Lex Luthor, the secret leader of Hydra and friend of Adolf Hitler himself. In 1942, Super Soldier almost won the war. However, the appearance of Ultra Metallo, a massive robot sent by Luthor, made it hard for him. Their fight made its way to the northern Atlantic Ocean, where Super Soldier sacrificed himself to take down Ultra Metallo. The two of them sunk beneath the icy waters and were never seen again. 50 years after, the JLA discovered the frozen body of Super Soldier, and he began working at the Daily Planet as Clark Kent, but was soon forced to fight again as he soon discovered that Lex Luthor was still alive and well, who injected himself with Green K. Super Soldier battled Ultra Metallo once more, but is now being powered by the Green K. Super Soldier, discovering that lead would protect him from the harmful Green K, used an enormous lead pipe to take down Ultra Metallo before it could detonate a K-bomb at the White House. Super Soldier finally exposed Lex Luthor for the criminal he was, and Luthor was incarcerated. Now we have Logan Wayne, aka Dark Claw, a mixture of Wolverine and Batman. Dark Claw possesses both the healing powers and enhanced senses of Wolverine and the tactical genius of Batman. Dark Claw is the protector of New Gotham City with his young sidekick Sparrow, a combination of Robin and Jubilee. When he was 5 years old, he witnessed the murder of his parents at the hands of an armed robber. Logan Wayne was then sent to live with his uncle in Alberta, Canada. His uncle was a constituent of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and was ambushed and slaughtered by poachers sometime after he came to Canada. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police then sent Logan Wayne to live in a home run by nuns and enlisted in the Royal Canadian Air Force Security when he grew up, being assigned together with Creed H. Quinn. Both Logan and Creed were sent to the Weapon X Project, the Canadian Super Soldier program. It was here that Logan Wayne had adamantium bonded to his bones and learned about his meta-mutant nature. Meanwhile, Creed Quinn became insane and would later become the Hyena, a mixture of Sabretooth and the Joker, Darklaw's most critical opponent. All of these were later discovered by Carol Danvers, aka the Huntress. One of his former lovers is Talia, a mixture of Talia al Ghul and Lady Deathstrike, whose limbs were replaced by adamantium after being burned because of Logan's actions. Now, let's meet Blaze Allen, aka the Speed Demon, an amalgamation of Barry Allen, Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, and Etrigan. Blaze Allen is a circus stunt rider daredevil in Quentin Carnival who sold his soul to become the Speed Demon. One night after one of his acts, Blaze is contacted by the Night Spectre and asked him to serve him in his race to collect souls of power, those of the most pure and the most corrupt. However, Blaze declined the offer. So, on his wedding day with Iris, the Night Spectre, in retaliation, captured the soul of his young bride, killing her. This sends Blaze into a deep depression and began to obsess over magic. Approached this time by the wizard Merlin, Blaze allowed himself to be bonded to the demon Etrigan in a desperate attempt to get Iris back or at least save her soul. He then began fighting the Night Spectre while learning during the final confrontation that Etrigan had once been a human and had become a supernatural being when the Night Spectre stole Jay Garrick's soul, the first speed demon. Etrigan has a long-standing hatred of the Night Spectre. By reciting Gone, Gone, the form of man, rise the demon Etrigan, Blaze is converted into a super fast being with the flaming skull of a demon. Speed Demon speaks only in rhymes but can breathe hellfire at his opponents. His flame is so powerful that he was able to kill Uatu, the guardian of the Starbrand Corps, this Earth's version of the Green Lantern Corps. Afterwards, his nephew, Wally West, mixture of Marvel's Daniel Ketch and Wally West, discovered that Blaze is the Speed Demon. Blaze explained how he had become Speed Demon, so Wally decided to help his uncle. Wally contacted Merlin and agreed to make him a Speed Demon as well. Merlin summoned an unraveled demon and bonded it to Wally. Wally took the name Kid Demon and used a flaming motorbike. As Blaze was about to be killed in Night Spectre's realm, Wally appeared to save the day. They destroyed the Night Spectre and freed all the souls he had collected over the years. Two of the souls were Jay Garrick and Iris. Blaze and Wally would travel around the world fighting demons and criminals alike. Next is Harold Stark, aka the Iron Lantern, an amalgamation of Iron Man and Green Lantern Hal Jordan. Harold Stark is a millionaire and the founder of Stark Aircraft. He was working on a stationary flight simulator when the device suddenly flew and crash-landed near an alien spacecraft. Because of this, Stark was badly injured by shards of metal stuck in his chest. Curious, Stark went to the alien spacecraft where he saw the dying alien Roman Soar. However, the alien perished before talking to Harold, and Harold realized he was dying as well. With his last efforts, Stark created a suit of armor out of the alien technology, powered by a lantern-looking battery he found in the wreckage, a battery powered by Oa, the living planet. The suit of armor allowed him to survive and surprisingly gave him incredible powers. It allowed him to create any object he pleased out of a green energy. He eventually battled and defeated the aliens that had shot down Roman Soar's spacecraft. Harold, now using the name Iron Lantern, became a superhero, fighting against numerous enemies such as Madame Sapphire, Great White, and his arch-nemesis Mandarinestro, a mixture of Sinestro and the Mandarin, who is behind the series of events that created Madame Sapphire, mixture of Pepper Potts and Star Sapphire, and resurrected the Great White Android. Iron Lantern has also been associated with the Green Guardsman, who was after the battery. Another foe that Iron Lantern has faced was Hector, a combination of Marvel's MODOK and DC's Hector Hammond. Now let's proceed to Peter Ross, who is basically Spider-Boy, a mixture of the characteristics of Superboy and Spider-Man. Peter Ross is an experimental superhero clone. Peter Parker was a protege of Octavius and a scientist at Project Cadmus who had the idea to create a clone who could manipulate gravity. This was agreed on by General Thunderbolt Ross and the other scientists, including Von Doom, Reeds, and Dr. Octavius, with the goal of creating their own version of Super Soldier. Thus, Peter created a clone of himself with the power to warp gravity. However, an explosion in Cadmus killed Peter Parker and awoke the clone before he was fully matured. The leader of the project, General Ross, felt responsible for the clone's welfare. General Ross legally adopted him and named him Peter Ross after Peter Parker and himself. Peter and his uncle Jen were a happy family until General Ross was murdered by a mugger. Peter swore he will face danger and make himself the center of attention so others wouldn't have to be, and fashioned a costume and called himself Spider-Boy. Spider-Boy later became an agent for Project Cadmus. Spider-Boy was then assigned to battle genetic monstrosities such as giant lizards and alien symbiotes like Bizarnage, a mixture of Bizarro and Carnage. He later fell in love with the Insect Queen, a mixture of Mary Jane Watson and Lana Lang, and the two heroes got engaged. Spider-Boy's main power is the ability to redirect his own personal gravity, allowing him to shift the pull of gravity sideways and walk on walls. He can also redirect it inward and boost his strength to superhuman levels, or lower his own gravity to leap higher and farther. He also has a web shooter gun that fires streams of synthetic webbing for the purposes of entangling enemies or firing web lines to swing from. His secret identity is Pete Ross, a photographer in training for a local newspaper. He later met the Legion of Galactic Guardians 2099 when he was transported by the Legion into the future. Now let's see the wonderful yet feisty, prominent, skillful assassins of the Amalgam Universe, Catsai and Dare the Terminator. Elektra Kyle aka Catsai is the amalgamation of Elektra and Catwoman, while Slade Murdoch aka Dare is the amalgamation of the Daredevil and Deathstroke. Catsai's father was an Egyptian ambassador to the US but was murdered. She then went to a school of ninjutsu where she developed old cunning, ferocity, and her shadow warrior grace. Catsai's headdress is molded from an ancient artifact of the handmaidens of the great deity Nabu the Ancient One, an earlier incarnation of the being who trained Doctor Strangefate. It is unknown if the headdress grants Catsai any powers, although she is rumored to have 9 lives. Meanwhile, Slade Murdoch is a blind mercenary with hypersenses in New Gotham City acting under the name of Dare because of the dares she took and that only a few people have dared to challenge her. She is captured by Enigma Fisk, the mayor of New Gotham City, who is also Big Question, mixture of the Riddler and Kingpin, who implanted 2 devil horns into her skull to make her look more like a devil, a wrongful experiment that toughened her body but at the cost of her eyesight. Aside from being blind, one of Dare's eyes has been shot by a criminal named Deadeye, compelling her to wear an eye patch. When another mercenary by the name of Tombstone the Ravager wanted to kill Dare, he hired another assassin, Catsai, to assassinate Dare. Unexpectedly, Catsai and Dare struck up a friendship and they killed Tombstone instead. Together, Catsai and Dare were hired by an unknown benefactor to murder Big Question. They fought through the Arkham Tower, killing many enemies along the way, including the Lethal, a mixture of She-Ra and Kraven the Hunter, and Wired or Nathan Chase, a mixture of Cable and Manhunter. As it turned out, it was a plot created by Big Question to heighten his political fame. Big Question tore Dare's horns from her head as well as her brains, apparently killing her. Nonetheless, Catsai was able to kill Big Question. Trevor Castle and Diana Prince, a married couple who recently got separated and reunited. Trevor Castiglione or Trevor Castle is a former captain in the United States Marine Corps in 1972. He is an amalgamation of Steve Trevor and Punisher Frank Castle. Trevor served for 5 years in the Vietnam War. For his heroism, Trevor was twice decorated with the Bronze Star and the Silver Star, and 4 times with the Purple Heart. When his wife and children were slaughtered by the Mafia, Trevor declared a war on the Mafia. While laid dying on the streets from wounds, he was found by Diana Prince, and Diana nursed him back to health. Diana Prince, daughter of Queen Hippolyta, did not win the title of Wonder Woman as she was defeated by Ororo. However, she also went to Man's World and served the King of Wakanda, who gave her adamantium bracelets. The two later married and had a son named Ryan. Diana and Trevor eventually got separated soon afterward. The former couple later reunited, though as a result of their son's kidnapping by the minions of Thanoside, where they fought the Hand, Monarch, Big Titania, and the Furies. Their child was sent by Thanoside into the past, raised in Apocalypse, and became Kanto. In the end, Diana and Trevor fell in love once more. Now we have Charles Xavier, also known as Doctor Strangefate, a mixture of Dr. Fate, Doctor Strange, and Professor X. While exploring the Himalayas, Charles Xavier was rescued by Nabu, the ancient Lord Supreme of Order of the Amalgam Universe. Xavier tapped the energies and obtained the mysteries of the supernatural world from Nabu, both telepathic and mystical, making the sorcerer one of the most powerful beings in this universe. Already a powerful telepath, Xavier soon surpassed his teacher and took over as Lord Supreme of Order. While a self-proclaimed defender of the universe, Doctor Strangefate preferred to stay within his sanctum in the Tower of Strangefate and coordinate events from a distance. He accomplished his goals through manipulation of others. Doctor Strangefate then became aware that his universe was heralded by two older universes and that a person called Access can restore them. Realizing that this would destroy the Amalgam Universe, Strangefate decided to find and eliminate Access. He chose his three most reliable agents for this mission: Skulk, mixture of Bruce Banner and Solomon Grundy; Jade Nova, mixture of Jade, Green Lantern, and Nova; and the White Witch, mixture of Zatanna and the Scarlet Witch. White Witch was particularly attracted to Doctor Strangefate. The White Witch successfully captured Access. Then Strangefate trapped Access in mystic bonds and tried to erase the traces of the two previous universes held within him. He was then surprised that the traces were not within Access at all, and Access escaped when the mystic bonds stopped holding him. Back in the Sanctum, Strangefate realized his failure in protecting the Amalgam Universe and proclaimed it's over. Following the restoration of the DC and Marvel universes, the Amalgam Universe was gone, but Doctor Strangefate somehow survived. His consciousness went into Doctor Strange's subconscious, where he was able to influence events, shifting people from one universe to the other. His aim was to pave the way for the re-establishment of the Amalgam Universe. While in Doctor Strange's mind, Strangefate managed to stay undetected even by other telepaths. During the fight between the Justice League and the X-Men within Stephen Strange's mansion, Doctor Strange felt something inside him trying to get out. He then fell unconscious and his body was replaced with that of Doctor Strangefate. Strangefate started to turn the mansion into a version of his own sanctum, which was his first step in trying to restore the Amalgam Universe. The Justice League and the X-Men teams were too perplexed to react, but Storm and Wonder Woman decided to team up and attack Strangefate. Strangefate then used his powers to merge the two into a version of Amazon. This Amazon was not an autonomous heroine, but a subservient agent of Doctor Strangefate. Superman and Bishop then led the charge of the heroes against their new opponents. However, Strangefate amalgamated Superman and Bishop as well and used his powers to create more amalgamated soldiers for his campaign. Batman was merged with Jubilee, Cyclops was merged with Kyle Rayner, Jean Grey was merged with Martian Manhunter, Cannonball was merged with The Flash, and Iceman was merged with Aquaman. Strangefate then commanded his new soldiers to capture Access. Access teleported again and found the astral form of Strange trapped in an unnamed dimension. Doctor Strange explained that Strangefate had left him ghostly and phasing constantly between a myriad of dimensions so he cannot escape. Access then released the astral form of Doctor Strange and brought him back to the mansion. Strangefate and Doctor Strange fought in a mystic battle. The battle ended with Doctor Strange recombining himself to his body. Strangefate begged Doctor Strange to spare himself and his universe. So, Doctor Strange recreated the Amalgam Universe and its residents and contained it within a vessel to prevent it from ever threatening other universes. The vessel was given to Access for safekeeping. Meanwhile, the Justice League and the X-Men returned to their normal selves. Now, let's meet the very lively and very horny Lobo the Duck. Lobo the Duck is a mixture of Marvel's Howard the Duck and DC's Lobo. He is an intrepid, muscular anti-hero bounty hunter who has a shape-shifting canine sidekick called Impossible Dog, an amalgam of Impossible Man from Marvel and Dog from DC, and they investigated the murders of several amalgam comic superheroes, including Super Soldier, Doctor Strangefate, Aquamariner, Hawk, and Dare the Terminator. Lobo then fought his way through Gold Kidney Lady, Dr. Bongface, Ambush the Lunatic, and various other supervillains before realizing that the end of the world is about to begin and only he can stop it. He also has a duck-like hovercraft. Eric Magnus, aka Magneto, the amalgam of DC's Doc Magnus and Marvel's Magneto. Eric has absolute control over all electromagnetic forces, allowing him to control metallic matter, disrupt electronic systems, fire force blasts, create force fields, and glide through magnetic levitation. Eric Magnus's metamutant powers manifested in his early teens, which made his brother Will Magnus hate him and fear him. After calling himself Magneto, Eric formed a team of fellow superpowered mutants known as the Brotherhood of Mutants. The conflict between Eric and Will escalated and reached a fatal ending when Will's Sentinel robots murdered the members of the Brotherhood. In memory of the Brotherhood, Eric Magnus created the Magnetic Men, mechanical warriors to battle the Sentinels, the greatest foe of mutant kind. The Magnetic Men are the great equalizers in the war between men and mutant, and they consisted of bismuth, antimony, cobalt, iron, and nickel. The Magnetic Men are the amalgam of DC's Metal Men and Marvel's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Magneto also created the supercomputer known as Cerebro in order to locate mutants and help them. A strong rivalry existed between Magneto and JLX leader Mr. X. The Magnetic Men soon fought the Sinister Society, and with the help of Mr. Mastermind, they became human-looking. Now, let's meet the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Bruce Wayne. When he was young, Bruce's parents, who were both spies, were killed by Hydra. Seeking revenge, Bruce enlisted in S.H.I.E.L.D., where he was meticulously trained by World War II veterans Sergeant Rock and Nick Fury. Bruce eventually went up to the ranks through normal promotions and through his family's fortune and used S.H.I.E.L.D. as a tool for his vengeance against Green Skull, who had killed his parents. Bruce fought Selena Luthor and Baron Zero in Hydra Base Omega. He also has a relationship with Barbara Hardy, aka Black Bat. Thorion is the son of Odin, the High Father and wielder of the Astro Force and the protector of New Asgard for thousands of years. He is an amalgam of Thor and Orion. Thorion was the son of Thanoside but was traded to All High Father Odin in order to safeguard a treaty between the realms of Apocalypse and New Asgard. On one of their encounters, Loki-Desad, a mixture of Loki and Desad, the real son of Odin, whom Thorion was traded for, used the Mother Cube and its infinity essence to awaken the sleeping one called Surtur and bring about a second Ragnarok that would destroy New Asgard. However, Thorion invoked the power of the Source via his hammer to stop the Mother Cube. But because of the excessive energies released during their conflict, Thorion died and was remade into a gigantic cosmic being known as a Celestial. Now, let's meet the interesting team of Generation Hex from a divergent DC Wild West timeline amalgamated with Marvel's Generation X. Jono Hex was a kid living with his poor family in the Wild West when their neighbors burned down their home. The stress activated Jono's metamutant powers, which ended up blowing off most of his face. Jono fled his hometown as he was branded as a malform and traveled the West before eventually forming a group of metamutant outlaws known as Generation Hex, which included Aurora and Northstar Trigger, who are twins. Aurora is a mixture of DC's Wayne Trigger and Cinnamon and Marvel's Aurora, while Northstar is from Marvel's Northstar and DC's Walter Trigger. Johnny Random, mixture of DC's Johnny Tate and Marvel's Random and can make thunderclaps out of thin air. Retribution, who has razor-sharp skin and a combination of DC's Firehair and Marvel's Penance. Madame Banshee possesses mind control powers, combination of DC's Madame 44 and Marvel's Banshee. Former leader of the Hexions, and great-grandmother to Black Tom Savage. Skin Hunter, combination of DC's Scalp Hunter and Marvel's Skin, whose skin is extremely flexible. White Whip, mixture of DC's Whip and Marvel's Emma Frost, who can focus her psionic energy through her whip. And of course, Jono Hex, an amalgam of Marvel's Chamber and DC's Jonah Hex. He has the ability to create psionic blasts. During his travels along the West, he learned to speak with others telepathically. The Challengers of the Fantastic is a superhero team, which is an amalgamation of the Fantastic Four and the DC's Challengers of the Unknown. It is consisted of several death-cheating agents, and they are located in a cave inside Fantastic Mountain. And unlike the Fantastic Four, they did not get special powers after their space accident. They were warned by Uatu, mixture of Guardians and Watchers, about the coming of the supervillain Galactiac, a mixture of Galactus and Brainiac. Members include Professor Richards, a scientist for Project Cadmus, Ace Storm, the love interest of Professor Richards and an agent for S.H.I.E.L.D., Red Storm, Ace's younger brother, a young daredevil equipped with a flamethrower, Rocket Grimm, aka Four-Armed Thing, a senator who was temporarily transformed into a four-armed rock-like creature by Galactiac, and June Masters, Rocky's love interest and scientist daughter of Multimasters. They were helped by the Silver Racer to defeat Galactic. They won, but Dr. Von Doomsday took the Silver Racer's powers. Now we have Kirk Salis, aka Bat-Thing, the amalgam of DC's Man-Bat and Marvel's Man-Thing. Dr. Salis was dying from an incurable disease and decided to conduct gene splicing experiments on himself using plant and animal DNA samples. The treatments were effective but transformed him into a bat-like creature known as the Bat-Thing, complete with leathery wings, claws, and an acidic touch. He was blamed by Inspector Bullock of New Gotham Police after the death of a local drug dealer, as all evidences pointed to him, only to find out that it was Fat Freddy who did it. Fat Freddy also has a vendetta against Bullock and Dr. Salis' family. Now, let's meet the exciting X-Patrol. The X-Patrol are the amalgam of Marvel's X-Force and DC's Doom Patrol, and they are a meta-mutant team formed by Niles Cable to find glorious deaths. The X Building, a building in the shape of the letter X in New York, was renovated by Niles and the wealthy Elastigirl and turned it into their headquarters. Members include Hank Logan, aka Beastling, a mixture of DC's Changeling and Marvel's Beast, Elastigirl, an amalgamation of DC's Elastigirl and Marvel's Domino and Wasp, Pyotr Rasputin, aka Pharaohman, mixture of DC's Pharaohlad and Colossus, Niles Cable, a mixture of DC's The Chief, Niles Calder, and Marvel's Cable and Professor X, Paige Guthrie, aka Dial Husk, a combination of DC's Dial H for Hero and Marvel's Husk, Shatter Starfire, an amalgamation of DC's Starfire and Marvel's Shatterstar and Longshot, Wonder Girl, a mixture of DC's Wonder Girl and Marvel's Wonder Man, and Polaris, a combination of DC's Dr. Polaris and Marvel's Polaris. Of course, the last but certainly not the least is the JLX, a mixture of the Justice League and the X-Men. The JLX started when the Mariner, mixture of Aquaman and Namor, was framed by Will Magnus for the destruction of some Roxxon oil tankers. The Mariner went on the run and S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Judgment League Avengers or JLA went after him. However, most of the Metamutants in the JLA believed that the Mariner was innocent. Mr. X, mixture of John Johns and Professor X, then assembled Apollo, Firebird, Night Creeper, Mercury, Wraith, and Runaway. The team then became known as JLX and freed the Mariner. An epic battle then erupted between the JLX and the JLA. The battle stopped after Mr. X requested Angel Hawk to fake an injury. The JLX fled to their submarine, the Wave Cruiser, and Mr. X and the Mariners saw the lost city of Atlantis to be abandoned and occupied by the mutant-hating Will Magnus, Jocasta, and the Sentinels. Mr. X revealed his true form, the form of a Skrull named John Johns, and single-handedly destroyed the Sentinels. Eventually, they fought the Sentinels again and lost during the Armageddon agenda. Other characters in JLX are Captain Marvel, an amalgamation of DC's Captain Marvel, Billy Batson, and Marvel's Marvel, Warren Hall, aka Angel Hawk, mixture of Hawkman and Marvel's Angel, Oliver Queen, aka Goliath, an amalgamation of Oliver Queen and Marvel's Goliath, Dinah Barton, aka Canary, mixture of DC's Black Canary and Marvel's Mockingbird, Clint Archer, aka Hawkeye, an amalgamation of Green Arrow and Hawkeye, Pietro Pete Allen, aka Mercury, mixture of DC's Impulse and Marvel's Quicksilver, Todd LeBeau, aka Wraith, an amalgamation of DC's Obsidian and Marvel's Gambit, Runaway, a mixture of DC's Gypsy and Marvel's Rogue, Ray Summers, aka Apollo, an amalgamation of DC's Ray Terrell and Marvel's Cyclops, and Beatrice Gray, aka Firebird, an amalgamation of DC's Fire and Jean Grey. Then, a new roster of the JLX led by Amazon, consisting of Mr. X, Apollo, his brother Chaos, Night Creeper, Runaway, and Iceberg, went into battle against Fin Fang Flame. After Apollo absorbed the energy of Fin Fang Flame, he caused a second mutation. With this came the official return of the JLX as a team. Eventually, Axel Asher, now called Axis, managed to separate the Cosmic Brothers with the help of Amalgam's heroes. In the end, with the help of the hero named Axis, the Living Tribunal and the Spectre managed to separate the two realities once more, and the warring brothers have stopped fighting and made peace with each other, and the Amalgam Universe ceased to exist. So, what do you think of the Amalgam Universe? Do you feel the combination of some of the characters are quite awkward? If you were given the choice, which Marvel character would you perfectly amalgamate with which DC character, and why do you think so? Which Marvel universe you want us to tackle next? Let us know what you think, subscribe, and give thanks.